Gorilla Tag might be the biggest VR game of all time. When the game came out, it was a massive viral success, and it even surpassed Beat Saber on ratings alone on the Quest Store, which is a huge feat with how many years Beat Saber has been out. Now, another Axiom, the studio that actually made Gorilla Tag, has revealed it's working on a new project called Project A2. This looks to be a spiritual successor to Echo VR, which was shut down by Meta recently, disappointing a lot of people in the esports scene who really like this game. They gave us a little preview of Project A2. They said this is very early. The trailer, which the main person in it is named Mark, which might be a little wink to this whole thing, shows a zero gravity environment. They're bouncing around with structures they can grab onto that strangely look like coffins, actually, with what looks like a giant ball that they are throwing towards a goal that really looks a lot like Echo VR did. They talked about the way they're going to set this space station style game up, where you're actually going to be able to walk through the station to different hallways. They said you're going to travel through a fleet of stations to find your community. Basically, you're going to be able to walk down the hallway to different room and kind of see what's going on in the room where they're playing and see if that's a room you want to jump in and join or not. Obviously, this might be helpful to try and negate some of the issues with the communities that we've seen in Gorilla Tag. Interestingly, though, the developer mentioned that this is actually a full circle moment for them because some of their inspiration for Gorilla Tag came from Echo VR. Even some of the studio's co-founders from Ready at Dawn, the game developer that made Echo VR, have actually gone on to join another Axiom now. This is extremely early, and the studio said don't start looking for this at least until late 2024 at the earliest. It's interesting to see this coming from them because they're not actually the first company we heard about trying to make an Echo VR spiritual successor. The developers of Monkey See, Monkey Doo even showed off something in their game where they were up above the main lobby playing in zero gravity and something that also looked like Echo VR. If you had to choose which studio you want to see this game come out with, would it be the Gorilla Tag developers or would it be Monkey See, Monkey Doo? Let me know in the comments. Meta's answer to things like PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass launched a few months ago at $8 a month. With that $8 a month subscription, you get 2 new VR games each month, new as in hopefully new to you, not necessarily brand new games. And this month they've announced for September that they are dropping Red Matter and A Fisherman's Tale, both well-known and well-liked games. If you don't know exactly what MetaQuest Plus subscription is like, basically that $8 a month gets you 2 new games every month, but you have to keep that subscription just like PlayStation Plus to have access to all of these games that you've gotten over all this time. If you pause the subscription or cancel it, you'll lose it, but if you rejoin, you get to go back to those games again. So far, we've seen a lot of great games on the subscription service, now adding Red Matter and A Fisherman's Tale. Walkabout Mini Golf was on there. I'm curious out there how many of you got this or how many of you have found it useful. I feel like it's not a bad deal for what you're getting, but the problem for me is I've owned basically every game that's dropped already on it since they aren't brand new games. A subscription service like this, if it were to give you access to the whole backlog when you join though, that could be huge for the Quest 3 launch because it would give people a library of games to start off with right off the bat. No word of whether they're going to do that or not yet. Most likely you'll only continue to get them from the month you joined on, but this might be something that's really worth it to people who are about to move into VR for the first time to get some games each month without having to pay a fortune to get them all at once. If you remember in our free games list a while back, we talked about a game called Inverse, which was basically Dead by Daylight in VR. Of course, with a few different mechanics in this, you can actually unlock guns and kill the monster if you get all of your tasks done. It was very exciting to be able to check this game out for free, but it is going to finally launch at the price of $29.99. If you've been playing this free and if you absolutely love it and you're going to want the final game, you can pre-order this for $24.99. Of course, that said, the whole system with MetaQuest and pre-ordering games is kind of funny because you might get that pre-order discount, but if you wait until after launch and someone you know buys it, you get a referral code that's 25% off, which is usually better than any of the pre-order discounts. It's always exciting to see a game go from free early access to a priced game, but sometimes I always wonder, what is it going to do to the game? Have people played it enough free that they might not care anymore, or have enough people fall in love with this game that they'll want to continue playing it even with a price tag? What do you think? Gamescom took place over in Europe recently, and not only did we get a lot of game announcements about new and upcoming games, but people actually got to get their eyes into some headsets and try some of these games. And Vampire the Masquerade, which we saw revealed earlier this year, sounds like it might actually be one of VR's next hits. This game is actually a VR spin-off of the role-playing game series from the fantasy universe World of Darkness. This was announced to be coming to Quest 3, Quest 2, and PSVR 2, but of course this demo being too early before the release of the Quest 3, it could only be tried on the Quest 2 so far. People said even on Quest 2, and this being a preview version, it looked really good. Over on the Q2C podcast, they were talking about how this is a stealth game, and it feels like a stealth game you actually need to be stealthy. Unlike other games you find sometimes you can just run and gun your way through the whole stealth game, this forces you into that role, and they really enjoyed their demo of it. The game is set to launch in November for $29.99, Quest 2, Quest 3, and PSVR 2, and at least by all the leaks, it seems like the Quest 3 will definitely be out before November, so this will be something people will be getting to try brand new on Quest 3. Pistol Whip's Overdrive season has been going on all summer, and it is finally launching its 5th and final scene for this Overdrive series. We've seen constant content updates since May coming out for this by a lot of different names: Shred, Nobody Wants You, Good News, Majesty, and now the last one is called Work. If you somehow have had VR this long and you haven't played Pistol Whip yet, this is a rhythm-based game that propels you through these psychedelic environments with a gun in usually one hand, but you can switch up to dual weapons mode, and you're shooting at enemies, trying to shoot to the beat of the music, dodging their bullets, and it's been long called a John Wick simulator. With all the new scenes that have been coming out this summer, we've seen all new types of things: horses, and knights, and gladiators. They've added a lot of content, and this is why Pistol Whip's price actually went up a while back, because they kept on launching more and more free DLC, and they said, at least for people who were buying in new, they were buying a lot more game than they used to. With that, Pistol Whip still isn't over. The roadmap has more coming this fall, so keep an eye out for all that. But if you haven't gotten Pistol Whip yet, I do highly recommend it. It's a game I absolutely love on Quest. Walkabout Mini Golf is another one of my favorite VR games, and they are launching in just a couple of days another purchasable 18-hole mini golf course. This one is from Norse mythology. Alheim is the land of elves, promising a spiritual place, undiscovered alcoves, graceful arches, and all taking place in a spellbinding and relaxing forest hideaway. Some of the golf courses since Walkabout Mini Golf came out have dropped for free. This is one of their $3.99 DLCs, although I would say it's very worth it if you're playing that with friends, because as long as the host buys the course, everyone else can actually play on Guest Pass for free and still see the same course with them. Speaking of Walkabout Mini Golf, they actually launched a custom putter through Hello Real, a putter that I pre-ordered over a month ago and still haven't heard any update on when it's shipping, but something that I'll promise that when it comes out, you'll get to see a full review on the channel here, checking it out. And unlike other golf clubs, what this does differently is it actually has an extension that reaches up to the grip button so that you can keep your hands low on it without having to reach up to the controller all the time. Of course, it still might be necessary for some of the teleportation, other mechanics in games, but I love the colorful marks on it, the Walkabout Mini Golf logo, so I'm excited to see this launch and review it for you. We'll have a lot more game news coming soon, especially with MetaConnect coming up, and hopefully the Quest 3 announcement, and hopefully more other games, as we're seeing more and more happening in VR. It feels like things are speeding up a lot lately. But with all that happening, let me know out there what you're looking forward to. Thank you again for being here with me, and I will see you in another reality.